Hi, I'm Peachy.
And I'm Geoff. And as much as you like you to think that we come here every week to make these videos and waffle about 40k and Age of Sigmar and other things, in actual fact, because electricity and gas is so expensive, we just come here to make the use of Pat's lights. Just keep
Very warm. Very warm. I'm starting to get feeling downstairs again. It's great. My legs. I'm even my legs.
Saving myself a fortune every Monday.
Poor Pat. He's not.
And that's a reason to support Patreon.
So it's been requested, and Pat's working on it. This could be the first audio-only podcast that goes out. Oh, imagine the series of that. Listening to me talking. Who wants to listen to me talking?
Imagine listening to the both of us on a treadmill.
Oh,
I don't know what that's like. That's like a torture. You could just use that like Guantanamo Bay, couldn't they?
That's a driver to get moving fast, isn't it, really, on that treadmill? Just like, oh, God, they're still following me. They're still talking. Go on, move faster. There's a montage in there.
Or like, listening to it in the car and they go, and for some reason, he just careered off the M1 straight into that tree. There's no signs to see anything wrong. Was your husband previously suffering with depression?
No, only since he watched the Painting Phase podcast.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, so you never know. We might be...
audio only.
This could be the first one of us coming in your ears.
Oh. So that's a reference and a half. I know that reference. He's not been dirty. He is. He is at the same time. And we both have faces for radio, so...
Oh, absolutely.
Don't even have a voice for radio, so... Yeah, good luck with that.
Radio's probably... But I haven't even got a face for a cave painting.
Oh, you have?
Well, how do I have that to no reflection?
We'll call you Stick of the Dump.
Wouldn't be the first time. Right then, so we're going to do a little bit of a mix-up on this one, and so we're going to talk about a few subjects, but they're all roughly based in the same thing, which is either for your own use or for Games Workshop's use, which is army creation.
Yeah, building and painting armies.
Because it was a bit of a revelation to a few people is that your most recent Necron video, where you did the Nihilak. Spells better said that.
Oh, watching my wife try and say it was amusing. She was just like, Nihilak. I was like, no, that's not how you say it, darling.
So the Nihilak dynasty was a paint scheme of your invention.
It was, yeah.
And it was a bit of a surprise to some people when they watched the Necron video to find out that you'd done it. And the other people, they already knew you had, and it was nice for them to see you actually painting it in the flesh, so to speak. So when were you asked to do that? Was that during the army painter?
Yes.
When you're telling on the army painters?
Oh God, I'm probably going back to, it was when the first new release of plastics came out. So like the Necron Immortals, the Death Marks, because that kit built those as well. Then you had the Tripraetorian, the Lich Guard. It was that release of those coming out. It was all resin based at the start because obviously we're working 12 months ahead, probably even longer than that. Now I can't take full responsibility for the entire creation of the Nihilak dynasty. I worked with Matt Ward at the time, and he's a lovely, lovely human. And anyone that says he's not, I will fight you and I will win, because it's true. He's a lovely person. And we worked together on that. And I'd come up with a load of colour schemes of like different sort of ideas to push Necrons away from being silver, green glow, mainly silver and green glow. A bit like the first part of that paint video.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
The classic people remember from the Codex cover. And then some of them, like the dark stone was like a dark green, like for like the things like the monolith. It was like a dark kind of, I think we referred to it as black stone because black stone was everywhere, but it's like kind of dark green really, isn't it? Yeah. It's not black.
Yeah. The darker side of Dark Angel, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So started playing around with colour schemes then, and I had like loads of test models. I did like oranges, I did like reds, but I really like fell in love with the turquoise and gold, which was very reminiscent of ancient Egypt because of like turquoise gold.
Yeah.
I referred to it as turquoise. I remember when we did a paint guide for White Dwarf. This is what I used to love about when you did any kind of projects for White Dwarf. Is the editor you'd say, "Can you write some words for us?" I write some words in Peachy language, obviously a bit low level, kind of like the council estate human talk. And I was just like, yeah, that's how I sound. I mean, that's the way I've always talked. You read it back and it's like, yes, so after building this army, I decided to go down the tones of lapis lazuli. I was like, what the heck is lapis lazuli? And I went over to my dwarf. I was like, what is this? I was like, oh, it's turquoise. That's the name for it. I was like, I'd never say that. I'd never in a million years. I don't even know what that was until just now. Can we put actual peach words in there? So I used to make me laugh when you used to get edited by the White Dwarf editors because it just made you sound like someone smart. I'm not smart. But yeah, so I went down the ancient Egypt route with like golds and turquoises. And yeah, started building from there. Then obviously Matt would come back with like some feedback and be like, oh, it'd be really cool if you could do something a little bit different with like the vehicles, make them feel a bit older and a bit tarnished. And I was like, so at that time, I think we had yellow glaze. And after I did like my turquoise, because we had a limit, obviously we've got a lot more paints now, but it was, I think, Sotek green and then highlighted with Temple Guard.
Yeah.
And then to try and make it feel a bit aged and yellowed, I used like this yellow glaze all over it. And that's really hard to replicate now. So, because we don't sell it. We sell things like the contrasts where you can thin that down. But for our video anyway, I thought I'm not going down that route. I'll overcomplicate it, even though it's not quite how I did it back in the day. So Matt was great. We talked loads, and I think that was the key thing. Whenever there were certain writers that I worked on projects with that really sort of got the best out of you, and listened and chucked in opinions, but not in a way that made you feel stupid or anything like that. So like Phil Kelly, Matt Ward were always like ones I always look forward to working with because they're always like chucking in like ideas, but they also knew the limits of what you could do. So they wouldn't go, yeah, I want this army for this book. I was like, we don't have an army like that. It's going to take ages to make that. I've only got a week. So yeah, working with people like Matt and stuff understood because everyone's a hobbyist at workshop, but some people have a bit more of a better idea that it's a profession as well as just.
Do you think? Because it's something I found when with creating a marine army from scratch, and it's the first time I've ever done it. Is the one that I'm currently doing. Is that you start with an idea of going right? Well, the color is going to be that. And then you get to another miniature and you go, oh, hang on, that's now got that bit that was blue, but has now got that other bit that looks like it'd be the same sort of armor, so that would be blue.
Yeah.
But now that doesn't look like it sits in the right place next to that. And that's a thing, isn't it? Is when you are doing your own colour scheme, you start to find yourself getting bogged down a little bit going, oh, now hang on, is that too much blue? Or
Yeah.
If he wears more gold than that guy, I've got any space to get any blue in? And it becomes quite hard, doesn't it? I think.
Yeah. I mean, the great thing with the Necrons is they've got a lot of different unit types, and one of the things I decided early on was the more elite they got and more higher up the hierarchy, the more gold they had. So things like the Necrons, which were like the bog standard, I think all they had was a little blue stripe going up the helmet. It was like a gold helmet with a little blue stripe.
Yeah.
I think it was like a gold key line on like a really dark iron on the shoulder pads. Whereas when it came to things like the Immortals, there was more turquoise with a bit of gold, and then the Lich Gold was mainly turquoise with a bit of gold, and then you had the things like the Triarch Praetorians, which were a bit more like elite bodyguards. They were literally gold with like bits of turquoise. It was like almost flip reverse to the Lich Guard. So I started playing around with like, yeah, the more elite you are, the more gold you get, but you still have turquoise there. But then obviously you get the odd character. You're just like, I'm just gonna have to play this one by ear and wing it.
So how many was that for? Did Nylak come in for 7?
I think so. Yeah. I'm gonna say yes because whenever people refer to which edition, I'm just like, yeah, maybe. Because I'm like, what edition is it now? Is it 9th? Yeah, so it would be about 7th.
So is it? It must be nice to know that they're still going.
Oh yeah. So I mean, seeing the stuff and seeing people. The biggest thing for me is like when I'd go through like the store and into Booklands and stuff, you'd see people like with armies, and there's like Nylak Dynasty. And I was like, weirdly decide to paint the colour scheme I made. That's bizarre. Why would you do that? That's a terrible idea. But obviously in your head, you always like want to improve and make things better. But seeing people paint the stuff that you've done is quite rewarding as a creator and as an artist as well. So yeah, must have done something right that it's still there. It's not been blown up yet. I mean, the Venturian Nobles might get blown up, seeing as I've left. Who needs those pointy-hatted, feathered upstarts?
Well, I assume that moving on to the Venturian Nobles is that were you basically the only person painting? Did anybody else within Games Workshop take them in? I'd take them on. I'm assuming there's probably a few people out there who
there was a guy. So for the army itself, there's definitely a community out there that I talked to on Twitter and Instagram. I'm going to name drop like Josh Wolf and Cygnus Maximus. They're quite big names on Twitter at the moment because we do like, it's not huge, and I still need to pull my finger out and do a better job. But during the month of November, we call it Noblemember, and we just paint stuff up for eventually.
Oh yeah, I've seen that because you were doing different sorts of houses of different.
Yes. So I've taken the empire, city-states, and states of old, the old world, and translated that colour into my build of the Venturian Nobles just to make other random colour schemes. And I've found quite a few. I'm about halfway through because I think there's 14 states and cities. I've done about 7, so I'm about halfway through. But it's just a bit of fun. It's just ticking a box, just something different, and it's inspired me to do when the Cadians come out.
Yeah.
One of the recent ones was, I think I called them the Oslandia Lightfoot, and it's basically Oslan, which is like black, white, and red.
Cool.
And I really like them, but I've used Deathcore Krieg arms on Cadian bodies with the Outrider head, which is the signature head I've been using for the Venture.
How are they? Are they still easy to get hold of?
Yeah. So there's before the current Astra Militarum, we had like these Grand Alliance books. I forget what they're called now, but it was like Imperium 1, Imperium 2, Xenos, and Chaos. It's a bit like, because Age of Sigmar, when they changed the rules, they had like these big sort of tomes to get you started. And in there, they still had the rules for Rough Riders. Now, the great thing with buying the Outrider Pistolier set, which is where I source my heads from, is you get 5 cavalry Rough Riders, but you get 16 heads. So you use 5 of those on your cavalry, you've still got 11 heads to use elsewhere. And because I'd already done a huge empire army, I'd already accrued lots of these heads. So I had loads, and then I was like, I'll do some cavalry. I'll do some lancers or like some like hussars or something like that. But then they removed the Rough Riders from the Astra Militarum Codex. You're like, oh, great.
So, but I assume that that old Warhammer set, that's no longer in existence now.
It is, yeah. Yeah, so it's they are called Free Guild Outriders Pistoliers. So
when they're still in Age of Sigmar.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
brilliant. So
I was starting to get really worried for you then. They been praying that old well brought them back in, wouldn't you?
Well, they might do. I mean, big hats with feathers on it is great. But I was having this conversation with someone on Instagram, probably like last night, the night before, and they're like, I really like that army. I wish I'd had the kits or the money at the time to buy it because it was really hard to get hold of. And my observation was, when I did it, I suppose I could have communicated it better, it wasn't about using that particular head to make the Venturian Nobles. It was more of if you want to make your own Imperial Guard regiments, whatever kits you've been building, whatever spare bits you've got from another kit. Because if you take, if you do Wood Elves and you've got some Eternal Guard, you'll have Wildwood Ranger heads. Or if you do Wildwood Rangers, you'll have Eternal Guard heads. If you did a certain type of Ironbreaker, you'd have like the Iron Drake heads. If you did Tempest Signs, you went with the helmets, you'd have the Beret heads. Yeah. Basically, like most of the sets, you'll always have a different head. And in the set of 10, you usually get 10, probably more. So it's about using those alternates that you didn't do anything with. A great one is the Skitarii, because you get the Vanguards, you do helmeted heads, and you get the Ranger hooded heads. The hooded heads look great for AdMech, but those Salet helms also make cool like uses for Imperial Guard.
And the great thing is as well in GW's defence at the moment, they are really pushing. They'll fill every millimetre on a sprue at the moment with so the amount of heads you're getting is across the board in most sprues nowadays.
I think strong. All those kill team sets, there's double the heads, because you can have unhelmeted heads, helmeted heads, different style of helmeted heads. The blooded, there's so many.
Oh, well, funny enough, you talk about the blooded, because I bought the kill team that they came in. And do you know what? I got to the end of building that, and even though I don't need that many, because I already own some of what would be the older blooded with the traitor guard that came in Blackstone. I bought them when they put them in a box of their own, and thankfully they really match up well. But when I got to the end of putting them blooded together for my to act as cultists for my Death Guard army, I was like, God, I feel like I need to go out and buy these again to make the ones I couldn't make.
Yeah.
There were just so many great heads in there, and the weapon options I didn't choose. Every one I didn't choose, I then lamented over the one that the other one, because how good it looked, you know. And I thought, God, I really want to go back out and just grab these, again. I think the only thing put me off was I thought, I don't really need the Ogre twice, and I don't need the Colonosaur / Enforcer again. But the rest of them were great, you know. And
Between
so many good bits on there.
them, the breaches, and the Kazakin, they've got a similar head joint. The Deathcore Krieg have it's got like a weird sort of joint on the neck, like a straight and then down, and then the helmet. You have to do a bit of cutting and paste if you want to do some head swaps with those. And I have with my Venturian Nobles because I want them in great coats, but yeah, most of them have got that little ball socket and the hole, so that works quite nice.
The only shame of all of them kits really with the Deathcore, isn't it, is the fact there's not really, other than really the medic, there's not really any requirements to give them another head option. They'll just look like that.
Yeah, that's
which is a bit of a sad. It's a bit of a sad thing, but obviously
aren't they clones?
Aren't they? Yeah, they're like. Well, I think they're like. I don't know if they're clones or such. Are they not like
or farmed?
Yeah, they're like. I think they're bred from humans, but they grow them. Yeah, that I think the idea is to make sure they get
us. They don't.
Yeah, which is a bit grim to say the least.
But yeah, I will check in as well. When I did the Venturian Nobles at the same time, there was a guy in customer service who did like a couple of like Imperial Guard bits and bobs, and he played around with like doing the head swap, and I was like, that's a cool idea because I'm doing something similar with mine.
Yeah,
and I'd gone with like these magenta coats, and he'd gone with like blue with like yellow and stuff. So it was he had the idea at the same time as well. So Kieran. I'm going to chuck his name there because I used to, when people are like, oh, it's your idea, it's like, well, it's not. I mean, obviously other people were thinking about it at the same time. It wasn't like uniquely designed to me. It was just, I had the Empire army. I liked both Empire and Astra Militarum, and I just combined kits. It could have quite easily been the floppy hats instead of...
Oh, yeah, another one.
Which I have done a unit of with the floppy hats, and it looks fine. But yeah, that was the key thing really with the Venturian Nobles, was sending the message, you can make whatever regiment you want using what spare bits you've got.
And the nice thing is about the Venturians, like the Nihilakh, they have gone into their 40k lore, aren't they? Yeah. They are parcel of.
I mean, the Venturians are quite far on the eastern fringe, which is buffet range for Tyranid invasions. So chances are they're easily going to get removed from IP, especially now that I've probably like...
do you know what? I might have to feel like if I do go down the route of doing some more PDF for my Gene Stealer cult, I might have to start doing them as your gang. That's gone well for them.
A few people have done that. They've done chaos versions, and like I still need to do some Gene Stealer cult versions as well.
That'd be cool to see. It's not been going well.
I think that's another thing about creating like it's like a slight segue, but creating like factions of your own, if you like doing your own hobby, is I always go on the peripherals of lore and zones. So when I was talking in the last show about my Cities of Sigmar stuff, it was like you've got this area which had been concentrating on these books, but I just went somewhere far off because it's like quite far down the planet Ventrilia is. That's where I started to base all my Warzone stuff for my own collection. So I did Sister of the Battle, which was Argent Shroud. I always liked the Argent Shroud colour scheme because it's silver.
Which ones are they? Oh, they're the silver ones. Yeah,
they have white robes, but I ended up going down like magenta, the sort of like burgundy robes, because they're tied in nicely
with the other gang.
Well, I wanted to do like a big grand imperial army, so I'd have like the Sister of the Battle, the Venturian Nobles allied with them, and then I did like I wanted to do like a squad of Space Marines, but go down the route of movie Marines. If anyone at home knows what a movie Marine is back in the day we used to give Marines like super badass stats that you only need 5 and 2,000 points.
Oh, okay.
So if you're playing against like Astra Militarum, it makes sense. So I used lieutenant rules for my Marines. So I had 5 lieutenants in the army. They were all scattered across the army, but I marked them up as if it was a combat squad.
All right.
So even though technically the rules are lieutenants, they all count as like a tactical Marine, and a sergeant. But they just look more badass and they survive a bit longer in game. And I was like, what planet's nearby? And there's something called Pyrus Munda, which means fire planet.
No.
Some of the naming, like Pyrus Munda sounds amazing. You translate it as fire planet.
Yeah, that's a phrase you have to do.
I guess what the chapter is called Fire Lords. Fire Lords from Fire Planet. Cool.
Yeah, go. If you get the name of that sausage, you can leave early.
Yeah. I mean, come on, lizard men, beast men, fish men.
It was written on the back of an embassy number 1 box. But then the Venturians got artwork.
Yeah, got artwork. They got a bit of background. For my sins. So the creation of Venturian Nobles was a small internal challenge called a Battle Force challenge. Everyone got given a Battle Force. They could pick whatever Battle Force they wanted, and you had to paint it by a certain day, and then it would go into like White Dwarf and use for promotions. And it was just a bit of fun, just to get people engaged, because there's a lot of wouldn't say non-hobbyists, but people that were working in the departments that the hobby wasn't, it was still quite new to them.
Yeah.
So like a graphic designer or an editor or whatever, because if you're a good editor, it doesn't matter if you know the background. It's about making sure the words make sense. And then going, what does Nilak mean? That's not a word I know in the English language. Oh, it's a planet or it's a dynasty. Oh, okay. Turn that in. So it was to, get people engaged in the hobby a bit more. And yeah, I got the Imperial Guard Battle Force. I thought I'd do some, head swaps here and there. So it encouraged people to go down this route. And I called them a really naff name, which was, I think it was the Peachtonian Dragoons. It's very, very classic, well thought out name, because my name's Peach and they're Dragoons. And, well, it's a utopia they're from, so Peachtopia. Welcome to Peachtopia, everybody.
I'd love to live in Peachtopia. Sounds amazing.
You're all bold, unfortunately.
Oh,
you have to shade.
So I think I could swallow that pill.
Unfortunately, their pessaries, so good luck with that.
You what? Sorry,
their pessaries. Those pills are, so you shouldn't be bum.
No.
But yeah,
let's get less attractive by the second now.
I think that's the term for the ones that go the other end. Suppositories. What are pessaries then? Oh, they go out. I think they go somewhere else.
Please stop.
Anyway, so I called him a really naff name. Came up with some naff background. And then Phil Kelly, because they were getting a small section in the Astra Militarum, because you got your main hard hitter, things like the Mordians, the Catachans, the Death Corps, the Steel Legion, and you had this little spread of like some of the minor ones. Mm-hmm. So we, as a team, we just had a lot of fun and made up loads of like random Imperial Guard regiments. Like, let's stick a random Vanguard Scutari head on a Gene Stealer cool guy with a shotgun and call it something. I think they've got like Iridian Dragoons or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
No, I think it was Iridian Prefects. People were just having fun making names up for him. But Phil Kelly called them the Venturian Nobles, which sounded mega, and then he made a
good name.
It is a good name. It sounds very posh.
And like you say, I remember seeing the art in 9th edition rulebook. I thought, that looks nice. And then didn't really pay much more heed to it than that. And then, lo and behold, then I'm watching Warhammer Plus, and there's you fielding them.
Yeah.
Against the Leagues of Votan, wasn't it?
Yeah, smashing the Leagues of Votan with bayonets.
Naps. Don't light it up.
They don't like it up. I'm surprised I got that. I really am.
I think I remembered almost being on T-spitting when that came out when I watched that the first time.
I think there's an element of a young team that have never watched Dad's Army and just went, that sounds legit. I'll leave that in. But yeah, that was fun.
But, so it must have, but to say, like you're talking about the fact that there is there's a group dedicated, it must be nice to think that your stuff goes on in that route.
Yeah, I think what's nicer is how people then take it and add to it. So initially when I did light vehicles, I did them like sort of military grey with like black panels with gold trim on it. Mm-hmm. But I've seen people now start doing like gold tanks. And I'm like, yeah, that's proper bling there. That's people coming out, because it's a rich planet full of all these resources.
That's the sort of tank that has the word noble attached.
Yeah. I mean, making a tank out of gold, it's a soft metal. It's probably not the wisest choice, but maybe it's space gold.
Well, good old space gold.
Yeah, but yeah, it looks great. It looks more.
Very problem with space gold is that when you put it on your bride's finger, it's just all the knuckles just smashed in as her arm just down the floor. I've got your ring. Weighs 14 stone.
I mean, someone in the comments going to go, I think you'll find all gold is space. Because it's everything's in space. So, yeah, well, we all know that. Yeah. But it's funny. It's different when you say it's space gold. It makes it sound mega. But yeah, so it's really nice to see how people have pushed that and done their own thing with it as well, and made their own vehicles or made their own sort of like regiments and stuff.
Because you, in the early days of the Dark Eldar, you designed them being in the metal suit for them.
So we did. It was when so I was part of the army painting team. We moved downstairs with miniatures. There was a weird sort of like move around the business at one point. I'll probably go on a segue here.
Yeah,
it might take half an hour. It shouldn't do. So the design studio used to be the design studio, which had everything in it. So sculptors, writers, artists, painters, and stuff like that. And then there was this weird sort of split. So it was like, we'll dedicate an entire studio to be miniatures, an entire studio to be publications. Mm-hmm. So anything that was written or words based or graphic design based that was something to do with a book, would be publications. Anything that was physical and miniature based would be miniatures, and then things like hobby products, which was making tools and paints and sprays, was its own separate thing. So it was like broken into 3 departments.
Right.
And as army painters, we had this whole kind of, I guess, debate with the manager at the time going, well, we don't work with miniatures, we work with publications, because a lot of the stuff we do is for their books, not to paint stuff for the box art.
Yeah.
Heavy metal do. It makes sense heavy metal to go downstairs and
Absolutely right.
form it, because they will be talking with the sculptors all the time and going, I want this particular thing shown, and because they still make up the colours that would go on the box art, but they'd work with the sculptors a lot closely than what we do. I mean, every now and again I'll build a figure that, because you get bags of resin. So the worst one was the Slanesh Hellflay, which is the lawnmower, the big lawnmower.
Oh yeah.
You just get a big bag of resin, you're just like, oh great, I mean, this is going to be a jigsaw puzzle and a half. If I can fix this, I could do anything.
Mm-hmm.
So every now and again you probably need to talk to a sculptor, but that's just a conversation.
Yeah.
Just go down and ask. But most of the armies and collections we did was for publications, because you'd be doing like stuff for campaigns, stuff for like step-by-step guides. There's all sorts of reasons for staying upstairs. But we went down and we ended up making random armies that made no sense. And publications like, great, we've got another army, we'll have to like jury rig into the codex somehow or whatever. So it was a bit fractious for a time. And then I moved up with my mate Steve and another guy, and we were in a little department, and we did like stage-by-stage guides and collections for these how to paint books. And the idea, and they were really, I love them, and it's such a shame they never carried on, because what the idea was, you'd buy your codex, and at the same time you'd get this little softback A4. It was quite chunky as well.
Yeah.
Paint guide, and there would be.
They must have came out. They must have come out in the gap when I wasn't in.
Possibly. Yeah. I mean, I've got.
I just remember them. That's a real shame.
Yeah. I mean, the first one we did was. Let me try and remember what the first one. I can't remember if it was the Space Wolves or the Dark Elf. Let's go with the Space Wolves. Sons of Fenris, and it was like, here's Ragnar Blackmane's collection. Then it was, I got Sven Bloodhouse, so I did like loads of tattoos on the armor and made Sven Bloodhouse, which then got made into art, and then there was a load of background made for him, because we just
great.
Yeah, it must be seeing art of the thing because that was the thing. Me and Steve would kitbash a character, and then like Kev Chin or Paul Dayton will go, cool, I'm gonna take that character, I'm gonna make some art of it. You're like, oh my god, I've actually drawn a picture of the thing I just made.
Yeah, that's the sort of thing that would really stoke me.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm still stoked every now and again when I open those books. They were like 12 quid worth to like to support with, but they had their own background. So what you do is you'd focus on the main faction that was in there, and then you do 3 others. And the Dark Eldar one, there was the Black Heartstroke Cult of Strife, which was the same colour scheme, because it's like a Cabal and a Witch Cult, but the same colour scheme. And then Steve did the Cabal of the Flayed Skull, so that didn't have any art at the time, so we just went dark red with like bone, and he made him look very pretty. And then I got Lords of Iron Thorn, and I was like, well, they got the name Iron in it. We don't normally see metallic Keldar, so I was like, cool. And I was talking to one of the artists, he was like, you got to remember that Slaanesh comes from the Eldar.
Yeah, that's
not the other way around.
Yeah.
So, because I was like toying with him in like purple tinged silver armor, I was like, oh, that makes it look too Slaanesh. He was like, no, that's good, because Slaanesh came from these people. So for having the purpley tinged armor would make sense that Slaanesh has gone, I like purpley tinged armor, I like pinks and purples. So that's why I went down the route of like doing a purpley tinged armor, and then I did like red markings. I really enjoyed doing like the markings on the helms and stuff, and I came up with like some ideas for like doing designs on the raiders. So I sprayed the raiders silver, picked out like a flash of like Incubi Darkness, a bit of like corn red, just to make them look a bit pretty.
Did they survive?
They still exist. There's still a colour scheme that exists these days, to this day.
But did they make it into? I suppose.
Yeah.
Are they still in the current codex?
Yeah, they're in current codex. There's even transfer decal.
Oh, joking.
Yeah, so they're on the decals and stuff. I mean, I didn't make the decals. Someone else.
Yeah, but I know. But still. Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah. So it's. I think that's what I missed when I moved to Wamativi, was like that, being in that melting pot of creation.
Yeah,
and just coming up with ideas and stuff. But yeah, there's a fair few things. I think one of my favourite things I did, and it was such a simple fix, was we did I forget how it was called, but it was Tyrannid. It was a Tyrannid's how to paint, and it was trying to make Tyranids a little bit more so the colour schemes that exist are like Kraken, Behemoth, Leviathan, and a little bit more interesting than what they are. How do you do a variant of Behemoth?
Yeah.
Because the Behemoth is a traditional sort of like black, bluey kind of carapace and red skin. And I went down the route of like making the skin feel a little bit more natural red, so it was a bit more organic looking, so it wasn't like bright sort of Blood Angel armor. With orange highlights and more fleshy highlights. And then instead of it being black or blue carapace, I used Incubi Darkness because it's such a nice colour. And then highlighted that with greys and stuff. So again, it felt like more natural sort of chitin, bone-esque kind of vibes to it. And then markings, bright yellow markings on the carapace. And that became quite a firm favourite of like doing markings on carapace to distinguish different units. Because there was a weird, and I don't go into it because it was funny. So there used to be a guy that used to work in the studios who used to be quite heavily responsible for the IP, and he could be quite terrifying. I liked him. I got on with him quite a lot. I'm not going to name drop anyone here, but people will know who I'm on about if they know. And he could lose his rag sometimes when things didn't make sense, because he'd think it'd been quite clear, but people didn't dare ask or challenge. Because they were like, oh, what's it going to be like today? Is it hot or cold? And if you had a normal conversation with the guy, it was fine.
Yeah.
Because all he just wanted was people just to listen and get the general gist of what he's trying to say. Not to do the exact thing he's saying, but to understand where he's coming from. And one of the things that made me chuckle for a good few months, probably a year, was he wanted more identification between units.
Yeah.
To the point where it'd make sense for that race. But some people took it too literal. So like for Imperial Guard, you're marking them, you're giving them squad numbers.
Yeah.
You're giving them like different badges to represent different regiments, different numbers to represent different squads within a platoon. To the point where we were asked to do markings on Chaos. Chaos. The whole word is like, why are they ordered? Why have they got markings? That does not go with the name. But we're asked to like give the markers. So we did this Khornate collection, and we ended up like going, how are you supposed to mark up Khorne? I mean, they just want to kill stuff. They're not going to sit there going, what squad are you on? Squad 3. Okay, you go over there. We're going to go over here. No, they're just running and eat people and smash them. But we got to this point where we were doing the demons, and we had like tiger stripes on the legs and thighs, which was like one black tiger stripe represents squad 2, represents squad 2, 3 represents squad 3. It got silly. To the point where we were doing it on Eldar, and Eldar had these little lines on the veins of the vehicles.
Yeah.
Some of the markings on some of the existing heavy metal, like grav tanks, didn't align up with what someone's idea of what it should be. So I was asked to unpaint them. I mean, I'd never heard of unpainter, and I was like, I'm not unpainting heavy metals models. That's not my job. I'm sorry. I'll just get out my Citadel unpainter and just paint over that, shall I? But yeah, there's like this weird sort of like, I think people were scared to clarify. And then I guess he lost his rag more because it didn't make sense. Because you were like making like things like Chaos, which is chaotic, ordered, and it's not. And then things like alien races that don't use numerical systems like Tyranids.
Yeah.
They don't use numerical systems. So that's when I was doing these patterns on the back. That's the way I organised them, was like, this has a certain pattern, this has a certain pattern. So you have like your 3 Tyrant Guard, and you have a very, I would say unique, but I couldn't replicate the same pattern on all 3, but I'd replicate a similar style of pattern on all 3, and a different style of pattern on that squad, and a different style of pattern on that squad.
Well, this goes, we talked about this a few weeks ago, is that to some degree, I think if it's not Chaos, if it's something that is meant to be ordered, I think if you're a bang average painter, as I am, I think paying attention to the smaller details carries an army. You know, it's like, to go back to them again, especially because they aren't a codex thing, is my my son's Knights of the Forge Marines. They all have on their, as I check on me, so left knee, they just have a vertical. The knee is just split between white and red, vertical, and then they all have a matching numerical decal on their knee for what squad they are, and they always make sure they've got the right, they've got the troop thing on, and then with them having this Black Templar spill, if they have them on the standard intercessors, they have like them hip plate.
Yes, yeah.
On the left hip plate, they always have the campaign badge or the coat of arms or whatever the heraldry that the Black Templars have. So, but they'll always be different. They don't have to be from the same. The idea is that it's the how they were brought up and what family, but they don't automatically stay that way. And I think sometimes like that, I think getting this thing of having a feeling of them all being cohesive, it can really carry an average paint job, I think.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
I think you just look at them and go, well, all of them badges are where they're meant to be. They all look like they're part of the same gang. And, they're living on the base, their feet look like they're on the base they're meant to be on. I think, and I think sometimes that can, I think having an orderly look to them.
Well, if you take Imperial Guard, I mean, like, I've seen so many people some people paint the base rim a different colour for different squads. So they go green. I mean, from someone like myself who's very narrative, it's quite, whoa, that's bright. But that person that's playing it, that helps them distinguish the army. That makes perfect sense. But I've seen people do that shoulder pad green for squad 1, red for squad 2, blue for squad 3, or like a stripe down the helmet like with Marines or what. I mean, the great thing with Marines is you do the different trims to represent different companies, but squads, it's a very tight.
Well, that's how I went the Dark Angels route with his army, is because the Dark Angels don't ever have a different rim colour.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
It's always the knee.
Yeah.
And so that's how I went with his, as I went with the knee, because I thought, I don't want to start getting into this thing of having, because the idea is not a speed painted army, but it's cutting as many corners as I can. And I thought, if I'm spray painting all of these guys lead belcher, and then I'm filling the shoulder pads in, I then don't have to paint that rim, it remains lead belcher. I can move on to doing something else. And that was the early idea of going, well, that saved me a load of time. And then my brain went, let's half the knee into red and white. That'll be really quick, won't it? So completely shot yourself in the foot, and then put a tiny decal on it, so it's not happened at all. It's not really improved my situation in the slightest.
But it still looks, that's the thing though, it does look great when it's done, right?
Yeah, it does.
The time invested on that little thing.
But the problem being is and it's funny because I'd like to say, because of my military background, which is supposed to some degree different coloured belts, what they call a stable belt. And for those that don't know, it's like a cloth belt that's worn at the top of the trousers when you're in your summer gear. You will see it. In your winter gear, you won't see it as much. And there'll be different series of stripes. Well, I've started with my...
Is that representative regiments?
Yeah. Well, I've started to go down to the point now that I've picked up things like, fast attack wear orange helmets, which is almost a Blood Angels thing, because they wear yellow helmets. So these guys would wear orange. Heavy weapons wear black helmets. And then I've even gone as... It's so bad. The infiltrators that came in the kill team, one of them has got this servo skull hovering on his shoulder. And it's the idea he's like the Auspex scanner guy. And then there is another one who you can have in there, which is wearing all the gear for being the comms guy. So, them two guys, their helmets are blue because they're electronic warfare and outer signals. And I thought, you know what, I think I'm literally painting myself into the corner.
I mean, blue makes sense for electrics.
It's just thought, oh God, you thought, because it's constantly there on the brink of tripping myself up with it all the time.
I think that's the key, isn't it? It's like you can. It's a rabbit hole that you can go to.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I think we kind of I'm going to skip jump to Age of Sigmar a little bit here.
Yeah, no, please do.
When that started, and again, I had opinions, and as a business, we had to make it cool, but also it was trying to align with Space Marines, and you had a cool symbol. For a time, it was like the Hammers of Sigma symbol was on this shoulder.
Yeah.
And the idea was you'd get different shoulder pads depending on what chapter or storm host it was. And they did a couple of little upgrade sets, and you could replace the shoulder, and it might have a fist holding a hammer, or it'll be like a comet.
Oh, right, yeah.
A sunburst, and that represented different storm hosts. And you had the other one, which represented what it basically became tactical. Devastator, fast attack. And I'm like, with Marines, they have the same armor, right?
Yeah.
Pretty much. And they might have a bigger gun, or they might have a jump pack and pistol and a sword that represents different things, so they have the markings. But with Knights of old, when you have a bow, you're a bowman.
Yeah,
When you have a sword and a shield, you're a sword and shield.
yeah, the weapon denotes who you are.
Yeah. When you have like big flying wings, a spear and a javelin, you know you're the flyer guy. You don't need a marking to tell you the flyer guy because you're already the flyer guy. And I've thought that was such a waste of space. You could have done like heraldry on there. You could have done like different sorts of ways of identifying units. In the end, it became the tabard and the belt, but the belt buckle. So you'd have like, I'm going to say squad just for easy because I can't remember how we referred to it then, not what the units were. But in a storm host, you'd have like different chambers. The different chambers would be identified by the plume colour. So chamber 1 would be red plumes for the hammers of Sigmar. Then maybe chamber 2 might be red, white or black or whatever. But then you'd have like colours on the tabard trim. So you have like the scale mail tabard that came down, and the trim would be like red for platoon 1, and then depending on the squad would be silver, gold, or bronze belt buckle.
Oh, right.
God, it's so tedious.
Yeah.
Who's gonna? It was cool when we first started, but it was like, this needs some refining.
And also, it's the point as you do get to the thing is you go, does anybody who's now looking through the army book really care?
Or notice, because it's so subtle. I mean, the trim more so, but the different coloured belt buckles was, I think, a step too far to represent different squads. But I mean, at the time it was early. I mean, this is why like our last one about like blowing up the old world. You could have had more time. We could have had more time to iron out these flaws.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say rush, but there was a lot of, all hands on deck. Let's get this sorted out as soon as we can, so we can start like getting armies painted. Because for the army painting team with the Stormcast and stuff, you had to nail out not only like a huge Hammers of Sigmar army, but quite a few other colour schemes that, again, the army painters had helped generate, and we had like graphic designers come up with ideas. So that was fun.
Do you still now, having been in the hobby for as long as you have, do you still look at existing armies and then new versions of them? Like, we know already your plans with Cadians, but do you find yourself looking at other things and going, oh, if I was to have a crack at that, I'd love to do that?
Oh, yeah.
So I can't, although I'm desperately trying not to go down this route because I've been down the route of collecting nearly everything and painting nothing before. But, I still constantly circle the Sisters of Battle. Yeah. And just constantly just go, if I was doing them, I would do them like this and I would do them like that. Do you find?
Yes.
Even.
Yeah. I have Sisters of Battle now. After doing my Venturian Nobles, a part of me would like to do a order or a order minoris, which is settled in that system somewhere, and give them black lacquered armor with gold trim, and like magenta clothing, because that would tie nicely with that. I mean, I'm not saying that the orders and the chapters and the regiments all go, we're in this part of the segmentum, let's all wear the same dress uniform.
Yeah,
it's not that, but from a collection point of view, it ties in nicely. But yeah, there's loads of, I mean, the reason why I like the Sisters of Battle, the Argent Shroud, is because it reminds me of Knights of Old, because they've got like the cool sallet helm.
Yeah.
I like to put the helmets on wherever I can. But they've got all this armour. And then once it's painted silver, it just looks like Knights of Old, and you've got all the cloth to do stuff with.
And I think the current run of Sisters of Battle are probably, maybe other than Admech, I think they're the most 40k looking 40k army, I think, at the moment. They're so gothic. So what I'm going to do here, actually, is I'm going to do a quick fire.
Oh, God.
Right?
Oh, no, I'm scared.
So the first thing that comes into your head. So it gives our listeners a little bit of an idea of things that you're interested in. Right. So we'll take Imperial Guard out of this because we know that's your main 40k love. And if it's anything you've already said, that's cool, just say it again. If you were doing any army within the Imperium, what would you do?
I think I would do, I've not done it a whole army before. I think Space Marine. I'd have a crack at Space Marine.
And then, that's answered that goes into my second one for me. What would you do with Space Marine's own chapter or somebody existing?
Tricky. So there's a lot of existing ones where I'd like to tweak a little bit. So the one I used for my own collection was the Fire Lords was existing. I'd like to just go, you know what, I'm going to make up my own background and do my own version of what I think Blood Angels should look like, or Ultramarine should look like. Maybe use a different type of blue, maybe use a different type of gold, maybe put some more embellishments on.
See, I always, in my brain, always thought I don't like that blue tone on. I love Space Wolves, but I don't like the blue tone. They should just be like a proper grey to me.
Yeah, for the old Rogue Trader colour schemes. Go down that route.
Okay. If you were starting a new Xenos army, what would you have?
Well, that's a good one. I've done Genocide cults. I've done Drukhari. It's a mix up between orcs because there's a lot of cool new orc stuff.
Oh, they're not.
And
Yeah.
I've got a thing where I like orcs background. I like the models, but I just hate the idea of painting them. And I did talk about doing a Blood Axe army following the Here We Go. But that had like there's a basically a page that's just got like some really cool colour schemes. I was going to do a kill team of them.
All right.
And they have all the back banners. So do every guy with a back banner, and then also add some like Imperial pirates in there. So like an ogre, a commissar, because the art actually has a commissar in it.
All right. Okay.
So I think if I was to do a Xenos army, I would go down that route and go full Here We Go.
Okie dokie. Necromunda.
Necromunda. Oh, I've done nearly every gang, except maybe. Would I redo again? No, I'm going. Yes. So I was talking to Raph. We all love Raph, who used to be on Twitch. He's still on Twitch. I just don't know. I don't see him anymore, so I don't know if he exists anymore, because he's just a voice. But I was talking to him, and what I would like to do is there's a couple of factions that aren't covered right now.
Okay.
Which are Scalies.
Oh, yeah.
So back in the day, there was like Redemptionist Scalies and Ratskin.
Yeah, I remember the Ratskins.
So Ratskins at the time were like based off like Native Americans because it had that kind of vibe to it. But I was thinking that's one spirit animal that they've picked. They've picked a rat.
Yeah.
What about like the Milosaurs or the Ripperjacks? And I was looking at the new Tarantulas Brood, which are from Warcry.
Yeah.
Which came in the Red Harvest set.
Yeah.
And making them into like, and calling them the Ripperjacks. So making a gang that bases their spirit animal on the Ripperjack and then just making them as like spider-esque guys.
Oh, that's great.
That literally wear like bits of killed Ripperjack, or also they've got like weird, they probably drink the fluids of Ripperjacks and then get an extra arm.
Oh, that's really grim.
So yeah, deep down in the sump, I'd make my own sort of like Outlander gang.
Okay, Blood Bowl.
Blood Bowl. Don't play Blood Bowl. Blood Bowl. But I do like the, and I've used them a lot because they're in like sexy bodysuits, is the Athel Lauren Avengers, the Wood Elves.
Oh, yeah.
I'd probably, if I was to pick one group, I'd do them.
Blood Bowl's not really my bag, but I've got to be honest, I love the Nurgle for it.
Quite good as well. I mean, it's go like full mad, but you got to pick a team that looks cool.
Oh, absolutely. You should always go with cool before anything else, surely.
But I buy Blood Bowl not to use for Blood Bowl, but to use for Warcry, because they've got so many open hands, and it's so rare to get cool open hands to like conversions with Blood Bowl is more field for converting. I just buy the kits just to use them for like, because once you've cut the hands off the actual players, you can then replace those hands with clenched hands holding weapons.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you get not only all these spare hands you can use on other sets, but you've also got all these people that are cut off at the wrist that are begging for weapons for them to be used for other games. So yeah. That's as far as my Blood Bowl goes.
Warcry.
So I've done so many Warcry things. One of the things I still need to do, which I've not got around to doing, is one of every state, city or city of Sigmar. I've done one so far, and that was one of my things I want to do. All the different known cities, so the Phoenician, Tempest-Eye. It's that, or something I've not touched for a while, which is orcs, because I've got some of the Oryx, the Ironjaws. I fancy doing some Ironjaws, but given them bone armour. So armour they've taken from monsters that they've killed, carved it,
hammered it into shape, and got it on. That'd be really cool, actually. That would be really
make it look proper savage.
Yeah. So I've got to say I've not going back on it. I've not done Necromunda, but I always quite like the idea of the fella, the bald-headed guys in the...
Oh, the Delac. Or Delaque, as I used to call them when I was young. The Delaque.
Because I'm a bit, at the moment, obsessed with that new Psyker.
Oh, yeah.
Spiker,
the big...
Those are the enormous hair, yeah. I keep thinking... I like that. You know that where you get that weird thing where you get... you like a particular miniature so much you're prepared to start an army for.
Yeah.
And I'm a bit like that with him, and I'm wondering whether I could scratch the itch that when I finally get hold of that miniature... And I'm thinking about whether and just making him as a psycho from a Gene Stealer cult. But I do look at that.
I mean, they do have a Gene Stealer cult vibe, don't they?
Yeah, I just keep looking at that miniature and thinking, because
you even got the that's what I like about Necromunda is you get like the gang set, then you get like the additional gang set with those cool extra bits.
Yeah,
the Delacs there have like this weird sort of floating brain thing.
Oh, it's bizarre, isn't it? I've seen that.
What are the things from Matrix called that are like hovering around?
Oh, like the thing. I know the things.
Well, it looks like a bit like one of those, you know, like a Delac with a sword and stuff, and that other weird looking.
Yeah, they've got some, and they've got their own surgeon as well.
Yeah. I mean, you can get like hangers on, which are like generic surgeons, but they might have their own specific one.
So, well, I think that, and I was going to go to kill team, but you said already you'd like to do a blood axe.
Yeah,
kill team.
I mean,
really.
if I didn't pick chaos, if I was to pick chaos, because I've not done chaos.
Yeah,
long time. I did do a chaos army back in the day, and I made up my own sort of like, I guess it was Cornate.
Yeah.
I would go, and I'm kind of working on it at the moment anyway, which is a full-on cultist army.
Yeah.
That may have a squad of Marines in it. A bit like, I suppose it's like a reflection of my Astra Militarum army, which is mainly meat bags, some slightly more elite stuff, and then of course a handful of Marines. I'll probably do the same thing.
The interesting thing is, talking about that, just going off on a tangent for a minute, I've started reading is probably not the right term, listening to the Emperor Spears novel.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've
I'm aware of it. I've not read the novel.
Well, the Marine that it's about is from the Mentors, the ones who wear white with the green and the dragon on their shoulder. And they have this weird thing in there that they are often dispatched on their own.
Okay.
And the idea is they go to sort of explore, especially since now they're...
Do they go off and mentor people?
Funnily enough. And the idea is that they go out and find, now that this rift has happened, some of the planets are lost, they go out and look for them. But also the idea that they can be used to sort of like try and get an Imperial Guard back online and get things. And I think the idea of... I always like the idea of like an Imperial Guard, but with like the captain of the army being a mentor would be quite cool. Yeah, you know, or like a command squad of Marines. I think
it's a bit like the old epic Space Marine kind of visuals, and even Rogue Trader. We have like this Imperial Guard army marching, like almost like Napoleonics, and you have like a couple of commanders and a Space Marine.
Yeah,
it's that kind of So it's kind of cool that.
But it'd always be bad just to have the Space Marine next to like a commissar and a captain, because you know you'd be looking at the Space Marine, like Space Marine going, God, these are shit. I can't remember back in the day, like when the inferiority complex I ever got when in Northern Ireland, when I knew I was now standing about 6 foot away from a guy from the SAS.
Well, you would do.
You just instantly go, I'm now just a child.
I guess it has that effect. Yeah. Well, it's like, you know, stood next to like Dave Andrews as the master that he is of sculpting, painting, drawing, everything, building, hobby. God, you just like... thought it was all right. But...
So to sort of come back around again to army construction, do you believe, and it's generally the consensus amongst most people, but I thought I'd take it from you as being an expert in this field of it, really.
Pushing it.
Well, if you're not the expert amongst the three of us, amongst the three of us, Peachy, we're fucked, basically.
I've got a tombola at home, and in this time before a project, I just go blue, green.
Don't say that. It's meant to sound so much more organised. Like you're ruining me show, Peachy. Obviously, I think so, and obviously, I'd like to think you think the same, but I'd like your opinion on it. And this is for people who are new to the hobby, because that's where we.
This sounds like a very serious topic.
It's not really. You have to paint what you love, don't you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
There is no point, because sometimes people say this to me in the shop, and because I as mentioned before, I paint in my barber shop, and people go, "How'd you pick?" And I go, "Well, how'd you pick what you paint?" And I go, "Well, if I'm being utterly honest, I'm in the I haven't got that thing of going, well, I paint what I love, but I've learned to love what I paint because we bought my son the 8th edition starter box, and it was Space Marines, which is what, if we hadn't started with a box, if we'd just gone in there and pick an army off the shelf, he'd have picked Space Marines, because he at the time, he was an 11, 12-year-old boy. But I ended up with Death Guard. I wouldn't have picked Death Guard, because painting a standard Marine and Death Guard is like painting a character.
Yeah.
But I've learned to love them. And there's such cool sculpts amongst them, but you have to get your head in the gear of going rust and grime and slime.
I mean, that's the thing. You could base coat a couple of flat colours and then just cover them in blood and gum.
Yeah,
and then you kind of sort it, aren't you?
Yeah. Really? And then as has been mentioned before, I won the charity army, and I won the Steel Cult, which was good, because it was of the two armies in 40k that I was most interested in, outside of painting my son's Space Wolves and Space Marines, and outside of painting Death Guard, was I love Gene Steel Cult, I love Systems. So I ended up with, It's a funny one. It's like I really love the look of Gene Stealer Cult. I just wish I was clever enough to actually figure out how to play them.
Same.
Because they're great to look at when you go and you've got to be thinking for, you've got to be nearly enough.
I've been stumbled by it because I built an army and then I played a game with them. I was like, okay, I mean, there's ambushes stuff.
You've got to be thinking that far ahead, like you're actually thinking about putting them back in the box or taking them out. You've got to have played the whole game out in your head before it. So, but for anyone who hasn't yet started an army, you're going to be sitting there with them a long, long time. Pick what you like.
Yeah.
Don't worry about how it plays after.
So it's advice I've always. I mean, we used to get asked on like the Twitch channel and just random comments on like Instagram and stuff like, how do I go about picking an army? And it's like, how long's a piece of string? You don't pick an army because it's going to win your games. Don't pick an army because it's the easiest to paint. Pick an army that you're going to enjoy building and painting, because it's not just the painting side of it, it's the building side of it and the playing side of it. I mean, I don't use or build orcs very often because I don't enjoy painting orcs. It's the green skin. I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm a racist. I don't know. I hate painting green skin. I think it stems from when I had to do the Savage Orc army back in the day, and it was hundreds and hundreds, and I hate doing stone, bone, and green. I had to do a Savage Orc army, and it killed me. I think it stems from there. But I would never, other than like for Warcry, doing a small gang because it's a handful, I might push it, and then I'll do I want to do push on the bone, do the bone armor, because that would be quite cool, make them look savage. But that's a choice as opposed to being made to do like savage orcs. I'm making this choice to do like 6 orcs in Warcry, and going a bit OTT with them. But yeah, pick what you love, pick what the idea
I think
you want to paint.
I think thankfully, now that which whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, now that armies come out and very quickly they get nerfed if they find out they're playing a bit strong. Leagues of Votann got nerfed before everybody else. And but I think to some degree, at some point in time, the bit I always thought must have been quite sad is when an army was meta controlling the tournament scene, and you would see lots of these armies. And I think there was people who are going out and are buying lock, stock, an army in a Wanna, and then painting it and taking it to tournaments. And you think, there must have been a lot of guys doing that who didn't even really care what they looked like.
Yeah.
And I think what a sad thing to do, to sit and paint a... Do you remember for a while, Iron Hands were crushing it.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, all them people sitting there painting black.
Yeah.
With not the easiest of colours.
No, well, I see you spray them. Yeah. I mean, I suppose, again, it's that, that hobby's open to any kind of, like, mindset. I mean, that's not how I do the hobby personally, but I can see...
No, it puts on you if the game is more a miniature.
Because they are tokens at the end of the day. They do. Yeah. I mean, I was talking about this in our last show where, like, Age of Sigmar, to me, when you get into the melee and you like your character that you really love and you enjoyed painting's trapped, if I was a tournament player, I wouldn't care because it's about stats. I probably wouldn't even got into that position.
No.
Because I'd know how it all works as a system. And I guess that's the different sorts of people we aim at. It's like, there's people that want to play a game and win. There's people that want to make a story. I mean, for me, if I'm not making noises whilst I'm playing, but I'm painting, I'm not doing it right. And that's not like a judgment to anyone else. You do what you want. But if I'm not going, forwards, chaps, that's it, hold the banner. If I'm not doing that during a game, then...
I can't wait to play against them.
Forwards, that's it, Smithers, that's it, so hold the banner. Good lad. Oh, he died.
Pick up that banner.
Yes, Jones. They don't like a double, do they? No, they don't, apparently. But yeah, so I mean, if I'm playing an army, I'm not doing that. I mean, I find it quite hard with Sisters of Battle because I've got to put on a lady voice, and I don't improve this lady voice. They were like, "Oh, hello, time to unleash hellfire and fury." I don't think many Sisters of Battle sound like that, but in my head they do. So people are going to kill me for doing stupid impressions, but my son likes it, and that's all I care about.
Absolutely right. So we agree then, to sort of round up, I think, we agree that paint what you love.
Yep.
Definitely consider really getting in your kit, in your bits box.
Oh, yeah.
Learning to look outside your range.
Yeah.
I think it is sad, and I completely understand it, so I'm not going to... You don't have to get in touch and tell me why, because I understand. I think it is sad to some degree that you can't stick anything 3D printed on top of something you already own, a tournament.
Yeah.
It's a shame because there's some amazing companies producing some amazing stuff.
back in the day, your tournament or like games in the hall was like, as long as 70% of the model was workshop.
And now it's the only thing can be 3D printed is what's on the base, isn't it?
I mean, even so, it's like, if it's a plume, you can't get plumes and you just want a 3D printed plume. I mean,
yeah, I mean, and this is, I think, sometimes the problem within Warhammer is that they'll go, none of that, thank you.
Yeah.
And you go, well, that's fine. You bloody make it then, and I won't buy the.
Yeah.
I will buy the pirate one. I've just put a Primaris Repulsor Executioner together, and I got 3D printed Templar doors for it. And I think, do you know what? I'd have quite happily drove up to Warhammer World and I'd have bought your one.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose that could be a conversation for another chat, really, which is like, what is the future? Because I foresee 3D printing becoming a quite big thing. And I think at some point, workshops going to have to relent or make more of the stuff so it doesn't get 3D printed. It's a challenge for sure.
Yeah, and I don't want to go too far into it now, but you think you could just be, Games Workshop could just be producing STL files of every single blooming door for every marine and everything under the sun. They build them, they put them out there as a file, you buy them, and their outlay is extraordinarily low. And then people won't then go to people like Puppet Wars, as much as Puppet Wars stuff's amazing. They can go and get there and then go, well, I'm not sweating it when I go to a tournament.
Yeah.
But so I think it is a little bit of a shame that when it comes to building your own armies, you if you want to be a tournament player, you've got to be a bit either put something on that no one's going to notice, or you've got to be a bit canny with it. You're going to have to be a bit canny with it as to how it's all about.
At least it's not like the mid-2000s where there was that guy, that tournament that, because it had to be Games Workshop product, he photocopied every single Necron off the back of the books, cut it out in cardboard and stuck it on a round base. Still classed as Games Workshop.
Did you see the guy who was making that, which is genius, isn't it? Did you see the guy who was making the Necrons out of the sprue?
No.
You know the sprue?
That's an effort.
You know the frame? He was making the Necrons out of that. And he said, it's Games Workshop.
That's absolutely not wrong.
I love the idea of building a Space Marine army and he got a Necron army after at the same time.
That's genius. Just like,
Can't be cool.
Like armatures out of like sprue.
There was a picture of someone playing Kill Team with Joy Toy Tyranids.
Oh, wow.
They were like obviously massive, but Games Workshop.
Yeah, absolutely right. The way Joy Toy are going, you will be able to just eventually field an army because they're bringing it out hand over fist.
Yeah. And you want to get some of those death call.
Yeah, but they're thinking, it's just that thing of going, well, where are we going to set up this 18 by 6 foot board?
Pat's bedroom. Because that's how long his bedroom is. All the mirrors.
Palatial is the term I use for Pat's bedroom. Palatial boudoir.
It's for his beard, isn't it, really? It's beard trim.
I've got to make sure his beard looks good from all angles. Absolutely. I spend enough time on it.
Oh, yeah, I can tell. Yeah, absolutely. It's very...
I like to think I like to think at the end of the day, after being in the barbershop, that beard goes home to a good home.
Do you take your work home with you and do it with your bushes in your garden, just like have a nice bit of taupe?
Oh, I was wondering where that was going.
Talking of bushes, he's naked again.
Oh,
very cold today though, apparently.
He's still got them toe scratches on it from the old age pensioner.
I was going to say, we're not going to go on that subject again. I think I killed the end of that.
No, I don't. No, and I've got to be honest now, I've got to the point where I've become such a diva over Barbering that I make the children come to the shop to have a haircut. I won't cut their hair at home.
It's just a mess.
What?
The hair getting everywhere in the house.
Well, it is that. We're wooden floors, so it's not so much of a problem. It's just the fact that now I'm so used to the chair being where it needs to be, the height it needs to be, the tools being where they are. I can't bagging them up and taking, friends of mine going, oh, well, you come round, will you do my hair? And I'm like, I'll quite happily be in the barber shop at 9:30 at night and cut your hair.
Yeah.
But I'm not bringing them round to your house. No, it's
my
nice.
son's cut my son's hair. I have a set of clippers. I'm like, right, it's time for your haircut. He's like, no. Christ, because he knows he's going to get a dad. Because that's the only style I can do.
Well, you don't mean like, you don't do like a 1.5 on the sides and then a 0 through the top. So it's exactly
completely bold. So do you want a Chris Peach haircut like mine? And he cries all the way through. No, I don't actually cut all his hair off. I just like trim it down around the top.
I was going to start looking at my phone then for the number for the NSPCC.
Hey, quick one before we go. So I remember once when I was a kid, I was at primary school. I woke up, my dad had cut my hair because it was the old, get a bowl on your head and cut around it. That old classic. And it's true.
So it's like when I hear people say that, that's like war crimes to Barbering for me.
And I don't know what he was doing, and I still need to find out exactly what was in his head. But I think maybe I was getting more hair growing in the middle here.
Or it would be what between
Getting the old unibrow. And I
becoming a Gallagher brother.
probably, yeah. And I think he was probably trying to do me a favour and remove stuff, but he cut a bit off my eyebrow. So he tried to neaten up on the other side to the point that he ended up shaving off my eyebrow because it looked mad. And I didn't notice at the time, but then I woke up the next morning because it was school. It was like Monday. And I just like looked at him and went, I don't want to go to school. There's something wrong with me. I can't work out.
Why do I look like David Bowie?
So he had no eyebrows because we'd had.
Some of the I don't say this into a barbering podcast, but some of the howlers that I've seen in the barber shop, where it's either children have found scissors, which is always a winner, and they never find scissors and go round the back with them, or like over their ears, and they just go fringe. And somebody's born to go. You come in and you know something's going on. Is when the person or the child is wearing a hat till the last millisecond before you get in the chair. I'm cutting the hair and there's a child behind like a big woolly hat on and it's July. And I'm cutting the hair and I'm thinking, something underneath that's not going to go well, is there? There's something really bad.
You need that time to prep in your head.
Yeah, I'm trying to
just take it off so I can figure out what I'm going to do.
Yeah. And then they get in and they go, and then their favourite is to pull the hat off them and they go, what can you do with that? He found me clippers, me beard trimmers, and there's a big chunk virtually to the skin. And then I always say, well, I can cut it all to that length. And then they look at me horrified and go, is there nothing else you can do?
I can make it grow.
And go, is there nothing else you can do? And I find myself want to go, well, Dave, if you can give me an idea of how I can get my way out of that, I'm all ears. Or dads come in and have decided to cut their children's hair. And I always use the same expression now where I always go, they go, yeah, can you sort his hair? I had to go at it. And and it's not gone very well. And then I start cutting the hair, and I always go, "What do you do for a living, Dad?" And they go, "I'm an electrician." I go, it's funny that because I've got no training. I haven't really got the right tools, but I've been given real thought to rewiring my own house, and it's at the moment we're having a bit of a flood problem. But it shouldn't be a problem if I crack on with it, should you? And then the guy goes, "Oh, mate, no, don't. Oh, okay,
yeah, makes sense.
So, yeah, absolutely. Anyway, finishing weirdly on a note of barbering, but barbering. So, if you want to get in touch with us,
you can do on many, many ways. We have, of course, the socials such as Twitter, Instagram. Painting Phase is also on the Instagram and the TikTok. We have our like and subscribe button, which we did forget to mention at the start or halfway through. Press it, please. You don't have to press it, but it just helps us if you press it. Patreon's going well.
Patreon's going good.
All right there. Yeah, I mean, we have many benefits of using Patreon. Obviously, supports us, keeps this lot going.
Name on the show.
That way in class. I mean, the community's going really well as well.
Yeah, So there's Discord.
Yeah, that's it. Like the Discord community. I mean, we're always there. Pat's there a lot. Chatting away. I jump in every now and again. People asking me questions about paint and stuff. So yeah, we have that.
How are you doing on getting photographs in for?
Still waiting for photographs.
People are paying.
People are paying, but they just don't want me to. Probably scared of what I might say, like, "Oh, it looks like it's painted by a dog." I would never say that. I would never say it.
But the fact that they paid for it.
Well,
you've paid for this service. Come and
send some photos.
It's ready and waiting.
Yeah, to the Painting Phase email address that gets linked to you. So yeah, please do that.
And then your one-to-one. So you've got
ones. Yeah, got a couple.
Got 6 left, I think. Is it now?
6 out of 6. Yeah.
No, it's not 6 out of 6. We're trying to make it sound really exclusive. I did this to me last week. I was like, there's only 6 left. As far as people know, it might be like 180 of them was down to the last 6. And you always go, there's 6. Honest to God, when I leave, can you have a word, Pat? Not like written warning, but just like, verbal.
The next is I've got a handprint in it. It's like the red-handed Saruman.
He comes
Pat and Stella did a bad.
The whole video with a pair of sunglasses on side the shiner.
It just looked cool. But yes, please support us on those things.
Yeah, that would be really appreciated.
Honestly, I hope you enjoy me waffling like.
And affiliate links as well.
Oh yes, we always Tashen Taschengeldieb is the German one. We also have
Pocket Money Thieves.
Pocket Money. That's such a good name.
So good.
And then, of course, we have affiliate games and many more. I mean, we're getting We Print Minis as well. We're getting a affiliate link with those. So if you want to get yourself a discount on 3D printed models, there's quite a range. I mean, we did our
Roger.
Playing a Marine video on those guys, and just looking through the library of stuff those guys have got.
I mean, yeah, if you're doing D&D or zombie-based games, any of them, there's something for you, isn't it?
On the cards, I'm looking at Pat because we are planning on doing it. We will be doing like a paint guard on D&D. I don't know if we should shut out there because, life might get in the way and prevent us from doing it. But it's on the cards. There's lots of things we want to do. But yeah, there's so many nice models to pick from. And I'm just going to pitch We Print Minis quickly. And they actually print the things. It's not STLs, so you're guaranteed to get a decent printout.
Cool. So if this has turned out to be the first of a podcast, I hope our velvet tones have kept you on the treadmill or on that long journey in the middle of the night.
My velvet tones. Coming in your ears, Chris Peach.
Don't look out the back window. It's behind you. It's following the car. Put your foot down.
It is true. If you say my name 3 times in a mirror, I will appear behind you. That is true.
Really?
Yep.
Good, because I've got loads of stuff that need paint.
Oh, no. Damn it. I'm just being a sleeper. Here we go. If I know the Dillian's name, isn't it? Oh, God. Summoned again.
Anyway, on that note, if you were watching, thanks for watching. If you were listening, thanks for listening. And for putting up with another week's worth of waffle.
Yeah. We love you all.
Bye-bye.
And he's gone.
There we go.